Taken, a metaphysical fantasy novel. He wanted a cure. He found the Creator. Chapter 3, continued. Feisty little thing, isn't it? Azazel turned the spit over the flames. Sure, it was cunning enough. It was a good find, too, Yemezrek said. Samjaza will enjoy the tale. You made sure of that. Well, I had to see how it would react. I wasn't sure the babbling thing had sense or not. The confrontation with the wolves was revealing. Good sport it was. The bows are slow, but precise enough. Yemezrek pulled flesh from the bone, offering it to Azazel. It's good hot, worth my strength, too. The senses don't interest me now. Perhaps later. I'll try your concoction. The bloody thing is waking up. Azazel rose to get a better look. The crescent moon barely illuminated the shivering, maimed figure lying just outside the fire's reach. The sound of rushing water drowned out their chatter and filled the air with a fine, perpetual mist. Azazel welcomed the spray and the additional guest. You should move it by the fire. Perhaps it will improve. Those wounds look terrible. Never seen anything like it, I haven't. I did tell you to do something sooner, Yemezrek said in between bites of cooked meat. Well, it's by the river now, just like it wanted. How was I to know it wouldn't do something on its own? I was waiting for something fantastic, something surprising. Instead, it just let those furballs have their way. Indeed, it was pitiful, it was. You did save it, very dramatic. Yemezrek tossed the remaining bones into the fire. Perhaps you're right. The fire might do it some good. I want to question it before we show it to Samjaza. He hates to be bored. If it's dull, I'll give it back to the wolves, Azazel laughed. It'd be better to face the wolves again than to bore Samjaza. True, Yemezrek chuckled. Azazel walked toward the broken figure, lifted it effortlessly, and dumped it next to the smoldering embers. There, that should do it. He sat across from Yemezrek. Maybe I will try a bit of our catch. This is taking longer than I thought. Warmth alone is not enough, Yemezrek said, peering into its face. Ona shata besema koru. He spoke softly as he touched the gaping wound on the side of its head. What are you doing? Azazel asked. The words of the Ancient One work here as well. Yemezrek grabbed a handful of warm ashes and rubbed it into the wound. Curious. Azazel stared as new skin formed and sealed the injury. Neme shata kuru vo se misi. He continued, moving his hands over the vicious bites on its forearms and hands. Smooth skin appeared again. Atashata kuro. The warped knee shifted into place and the swollen ankle returned to normal. Interesting. How did you learn forming? It's not really forming, it isn't. It's more like... Yemezrek searched for the right word. Later, it's awake. Azazel and Yemezrek leaned within inches of its dark, dazed eyes, waiting for it to speak. Tubal Khan blinked, confused by the golden spears dancing before his eyes. The piercing wound must have damaged my sight. He closed his eyes to still the dizziness and opened them again, blinking rapidly. Two lighted figures hovered over him. Cover yourself. Azazel spoke without words. Yemezrek made the adjustment in silent agreement. Tubal Khan squeezed his eyes shut. By Adama's blood, he swore under his breath, I'm seeing what is not. Then he remembered. The wolves. Am I dead? I could be dead. Charred meat and burning ash filled the air. No. These are camp smells. He opened his eyes. Two unusually large men peered down at him. Tubal Khan tried to stand, but could only lift his torso. What tribe are they from, he wondered. They looked like Seth's kin, but too big. He had never seen men this tall before. Tubal Khan measured himself at just a hand span over 8 feet. These men were at least 2 heads taller than he. They must have killed the wolves before he lost the knowing. He must thank them, repay the deed as was custom. He decided to use Father Adam's tongue instead of Cain's way to greet them. Greetings, brothers, in the name of the Ancient One and Adam's land. I perceive you have paid me a great kindness this night's ball. Please, Honor me with your name and your father's name, that I might thank you and reward your strength. You may honor me with the name Hazazel. Greetings to you and your kinsmen, he said smoothly, imitating the old tongue immediately. Kind we were indeed. You may honor me with the name Yemezerek. My father, brothers, and I are grateful for your help this eve, Tubal Khan said, using the customary greeting on behalf of his family. How did you come to be in the wood? Yemezerek and I were hunting the wolves this eve, and tracked them to you. You hunt in the eve? Tubal Khan asked. Impressive. No men hunt after sun sleep. Certainly so. There is no reason to deny ourselves sporting when we choose. Darkness does not affect our skills. You are unique then among the brothers. Our hunters only use. Tribe are you from, and which father guides you? Tubal Khan asked again. Our father is well acquainted with Father Adam, but our tribe has not communed with the brothers in some time. But enough about us, friend. We must know more about you. You have not honored us with your name. Hazazel gave Yemezerek a warning glance. Oh, truth. Tubal Khan rose to correct his blunder. I am. He could stand on both legs. His muscles were a little stiff from his ordeal, but otherwise he felt surprisingly well. Tubal Khan's mouth gaped open as he touched his head, searching for the piercing wound. It was gone. He looked at Hazazel and Yemezerek, awestruck. I am. Tubal Khan, he stuttered. A son of Father Cain and a seventh son of Adam. What happened? Hazazel ignored Yemezerek's glare and gave Tubal Khan the customary kiss on both cheeks, Yemezerek for his healing touch. You have Alru? Tubal Khan asked eagerly. Sit, refresh yourself. Hazazel smiled and patted the spot beside him. Yemezerek has a fine meal prepared, fitting for a son of Adam. Tell us about your journey. Tubal Khan berated himself silently. Fool. Of course. Pleasantries were expected. These men weren't savages. Pardon my haste. Tubal Khan chose one of the 7 large stones surrounding the blaze and joined Hazazel and Yemezerek around the fire. Yemezerek offered Tubal Khan a skewer of roasted meat and savory herbs. I came to Aviland Forest last sun's wake in search of it, tearing meat off the skewer. This is good. With what did you prepare it? These flavors are unknown to us. Yemezerek is quite the cook, Hazazel laughed at Tubal Khan's hasty bites. Perhaps you should eat more often. It's a simple thing to roast the meat, it is. A few leaves here and there add essence to the bland flesh. But what is this Alru you speak of? Do you cook with it? Asked Yemezerek. Oh, no, we don't cook with it. Well, at times it is prepared as a drink with heaven's tears, Tubal Khan said, grabbing more skewers. We mostly use it to heal our broken flesh and lessen the pain of our sins. Our Alru is almost gone, and most of our clan has the sickness. The elders sent me to get more. If this Alru is so important, Hazazel said, it was unwise of your elders to only send one. A group would have been better. Then you would not have fallen into the wolves' trap. You speak truth. In past suns, the elders to gather Alru, but the last 2 teams never returned, except for one scout, and he came back dumb and mute. The woods be dangerous now with things seen and unseen. Only a man favored by the Ancient One could enter and return alive. So the elders sent me and my cousin Enoch to determine which of us be the favored one. We're both sevenths, you see, Tubal Khan explained, holding up his braided golden band. What are sevenths? Yemezerek asked. A 7th son, of course. Tubal Khan stared at him as if he were dumb and mute. The ancient created a Dhamma in 6 spans and rested on the 7th. So the elders say a seventh son will break the curse. All 7ths get a golden band and a chance to rule. But I thought the ancient formed Adam from the dust of the ground and breathed into him after the 7th day. So wouldn't that make the 8th day special? Why not send the 8th son? Tubal Khan frowned. What? Challenge, you say? How delightful. Hazazel glared at Yemezerek and changed the subject. What would the winner of this challenge receive? The first man to return with Alru will be chosen as the bearer of the seed and rule the sons of Adam. Since our first father's death, we have had nothing but trouble between the clans. Only the bearer can lead us in the path of the Ancient One and reverse the curse. Interesting. Hazazel stoked the fire. Did you find this Alru? No, I was close to the source by the great waters when the wolves attacked. His eyes smoldered like the cinders. Devilish beasts! They will pay for my trouble once I find the Auru. Tubal Khan thrust the last of his skewers into the fire. I must get to the river, find the Auru, and return before Enoch. Can't you hear the rushing water? You are near the great river Gihon. Search for the Auru now and seize this prize for yourself. Hazazel directed him to the crystal current a few paces away. By Adama's blood, I will. Tubal Khan dashed toward the river, bursting through the vegetation as he furiously searched for the telltale emerald leaves with small white petals. Hazazel, Yemezerek scolded, you really shouldn't tease him. You know there is no Auru along the southern banks of the Gihon. He must search near the garden's gate to find it. But this is so much fun. Real sporting. Samjaza will enjoy this game. The ancient will not approve, Yemezerek said. We are only supposed to observe, not interfere. I'm not interfering, Hazazel said. If I were interfering, I would tell him where the Auru grows and help him win the contest. But I'm not doing that, am I? I'm merely encouraging him to keep searching and not give up. Besides, shouldn't we have a little fun while we're here? Perhaps a very small amusement is permissible. Yemezerek watched Tubal Khan pick up clump after clump of the leafy clusters and toss them angrily into the river. He'll figure it out soon. I know what would be fun. Let's see how many tries it will take him to conclude that the Auru is not here. I say 1,099 times. Hazazel laughed so hard he almost transformed. Shh! He almost saw you. Maintain your appearance and calm yourself. Besides, it will take just short of 1,700 tries at the most. Yemezerek whispered, barely concealing his toothy grin. There won't be a shred of green left if he keeps this up. Hazazel, you really should say something. Tubal Khan, Hazazel shouted. Have you found it yet? Surely the next cluster will reward your efforts. Tubal Khan shook his head and ripped through the vegetation even faster. That's not what I meant. I know. Hazazel finally controlled his chuckles. I'll give our catch a hand. His determination is inspiring. Must find the Auru. Return before Enoch. Tubal Khan muttered as he charged back and forth in large arcs, tearing every green leaf in sight. Hazazel strolled toward Tubal Khan, searching the ground as he neared. I don't see it either. Perhaps the light of Sun's wake will aid you. You might destroy the Auru trudging about in darkness. You've gotten along without it this long. Waiting a few more spaces will do no harm. Tubal Khan stopped in his tracks. Fistfuls of leaves and dirt fell from his hands. By Adama's blood, you're right. My vicious wounds are no more, thanks to the power worked by Yemezerek, and no Auru did this healing, for you didn't know of it, nor was it used upon me. I would have smelled the strong essence for truth. The Ancient One must have guided me tonight through these dangerous woods, knowing that I would find you. But Tubal Khan rushed on, silencing Hazazel's interjection. Far be it from the Ancient One to force a son of Adam, bearing his image, to be subject to the power of a mere vine. Well, I don't. Tubal Khan pressed forward with the excitement of someone discovering treasure. Surely another brother bearing his likeness and the power of the light must be the source of our redemption. My brothers, you are better than any Auru. Come now, tell me how this wondrous deed was done. Tubal Khan insisted breathlessly. You must return with me so we may share this light with the others. Our sons and daughters will be redeemed through you. Hazazel's confident smile faded. They are not like intelligent beasts shoved into the image of the beloved. Hazazel remembered Lord El's complaint. They are something more. Perhaps this is truth, Hazazel said, composing his words carefully. Why the delay, brother? Tubal Khan was eager. Brother, I do not have the authority to share this knowledge, Hazazel said. Who has the authority? We must appeal to him quickly. Tubal Khan was determined. Enoch may find the Auru first and deliver a false cure to our people. He will be selected as the bearer and mislead us. Patience, friend, Hazazel said. If this be the will of the Ancient One, we will learn of it soon enough. He cannot be thwarted by neither time nor man. Rest now, and we will seek wisdom from our Chapter 4. Samjaza. Samjaza stood with his back to the mountain, surveying the valley. Crystal flakes drifted from the heights, vaporizing instantly in the light of his countenance. From his vantage point on Mount Arata, he could observe the movement of the tribes clearly, and that was his primary duty. All the sons of Adam, even the tribes of Cain, camped in the plain just beyond Avonland Forest. He isolated individual clans, focusing on their makeshift tents nestled among the scant sycamore trees, and more were arriving for the festival. He scanned the area and adjusted his gaze again. Much better. His keen eyesight, a recent gift from the ancient, were just a few steps instead of spans away. Interesting. His gaze rested on one of the women bustling about a large pot. She is a fine specimen indeed. Many of the ones they call women were pleasing to the eye, but she was breathtaking. Long dark hair, thick as fur, hung to her waist in loose waves. Rosy, full lips sat perfectly under bright, flashing eyes. She almost looks like she came from heaven's realm, but her unique physical attributes made that impossible. Samjaza directed his gaze upward as he finished. I can even read their lips with a little practice. They were speaking of someone called Tubal Khan, but he couldn't make out the rest. Just as well. I'll probably learn more from the men. Samjaza skimmed the camp again, furrowing his brow as he tried to decipher the conversation between two men with elaborate headdresses. The man with thick silver coils and a surprisingly lineless face spoke. They should have returned by now, the graying elder said, squinting and shaking his head. I told you we should have sent each with a team. Afraid your precious Enoch ain't so favored? Other puffed smoke in his face. My boy will come through. Then we'll make some progress, right the wrongs, allow good folks a chance to... The wrongs caused this trouble. The elder waved the smoke away. And good folks don't lure people into the fields and kill them like a beast. How do you know? Right. The other puffed even harder. Because the ancient marked him. The elder blew his smoke back at him. The sign of his sin is on his face. So foolish herders don't take revenge on innocent toilers. Innocent? You should be glad we still trade with you. Be merry for our grain while you can, old man. We won't need your flocks when my boy brings back the Alru. We'll grow it. But if our seventh wins, only the worthy will... Worthy my foot. You don't know left from right. I'm glad I didn't let my name be joined with fools like you. I praise the ancient we talked sense into Enoch before it was too late. The curse is written all over you. What they say is true. Elan nes teva al-ru, he said harshly to the crinkled-faced man. My face may be shriveled like a prune, but the curse be on you too. At least my hair still has vigor. The wrinkled man said. What good is hair around a face full of cracks? The silver-haired elder fired back. Touché. Samjaza laughed at the two men arguing. But what does Elan nes teva al-ru mean? He concentrated as he accessed the power of the Father Adam's tongue. He waited for the typical feeling of clarity to rush through his mind. Your face lacks Alru, a phrase spoken to one wrinkled with age. Samjaza laughed even harder. Samjaza, a voice called. What now? Samjaza, the voice buzzed. Samjaza dropped his connection with the source to address the intruding thought. Samjaza speaks. He allowed the link to his chief officer's signature. This better be worth my attention, Hazazel. I think you will find this quite interesting, Captain, Hazazel said. I have initiated contact with one of the humans. You what? Now, Samjaza, don't be alarmed. We simply had to make contact. The poor thing was about to be devoured by wolves. The Ancient One would be most happy with our dashing rescue. Yemezrek even healed it. He did what? I did not authorize. Really quite harmless. Yemezrek and I are very adept in these matters. We covered ourselves, of course. just as you commanded. In fact, we would never have shown ourselves had he not been so pathetic. He really did need encouragement. Yes, but you must first. It was fascinating. You should have seen him trying to fend off that wolf pack. Of course, he was quite inadequate, and we had to intervene. Hazazel's thoughts bombarded his mind until finally Samjaza silenced him with a forceful push. Enough! Your actions border on the rebel. Oh, I forgot to mention it, but the human told us the most intriguing challenge from the tribunal. At least this is curious, Samjaza thought. Captain, Hazazel said, are you focused? Go on, Samjaza said. The mount has proved unproductive. Tell me more of this human and what news he bears. There seems to be some sort of contest to decide who will lead the tribes in Adam's place. Most intriguing, Hazazel said. 2 men were sent to hunt for some plant they call alru. Yes, I have heard them speak of this alru. What purpose does it serve? The mad little thing kept going on and on about using it to save his people from the curse. Suppose the vine near the tree of life. But why do they call it alru? Samjaza asked. I have no idea. It is probably a name Adam came up with when he developed their tongue. Very primitive, if you ask me. The vine does reach the garden's edge by the river Gihon, Samjaza said, but it would be foolhardy indeed for any son of Adam to approach even the outer boundary and risk meeting the cherub. Exactly, Captain, which is why I did not lead him to it, even though it would help him win the contest. I showed tremendous restraint. It was so difficult watching him search, knowing full well he was nowhere near the alru. Thanks for the restraint. Samjaza rolled his eyes. That would definitely violate our code. The vine's proximity would increase the potency and delay the effect of the curse if they had enough. What were you thinking? Hazazel bristled at the trace of anger in Samjaza's signature. Which brings me to the point, Hazazel continued quickly. Somehow the human thinks it is the will of the Ancient One for us to heal them. And just how did he get that idea? Samjaza said. It was really quite innocent, I assure you. Hazazel spoke even faster. You know how simple and naive the humans are. Well, perhaps it was because Yemezrek and I showed just a tad bit of kindness, and Yemezrek, you know how tender he is toward living creatures. He just rushed right in and mended it. We were covered, of course, the whole time, and Tubal Khan, that's his name, was not awake, but somehow he knew we were responsible. He's convinced the Ancient of Days led him to us, and so we can share the healing knowledge of the light. Hazazel stumbled from the onslaught of Samjaza's rage, even though he was spans away from his captain's post on Mount Arata. He braced himself. Captain, as one of the Ancient's best guardians, I know you can shed much wisdom in how we should respond to the human. Now you ask my wisdom, Samjaza said coolly. Why didn't you ask before you compromised the integrity of the Watchers? Hazazel flinched at the accusation. Captain, no breach was committed. Surely we had to act. Our duty is to record, but also to protect these sons of Adam from the fallen. Surely those defiant wolves were under their influence. If not, why would brute beasts dare raise themselves against an image of the Ancient One? Their rebellious act must have been inspired by Lucifer's cohorts. Don't you dare mention that name. Do you drink from his cup too? Loyals call him by the offense. Yes, Captain, Hazazel saluted. Son of the morning indeed. He is Satan the accuser now. Do I make myself clear? A mere slip, Captain. It won't happen again. Hazazel's quick obedience soothed his temper. You do have a point. The Ancient's ways are hidden with purpose. Your encounter with this Tubal Khan may have meaning. I will come myself to learn more. Before Hazazel could respond, Samjaza appeared at his side. Your abilities have increased, Captain. Another gift from the Ancient Ones, Samjaza said. Now, take me to this Tubal Khan. Enoch made quick work with the alru. He repaired the hole in his pack with a series of knots and was just stuffing the last of it inside when he heard voices. 2 men were talking. It must be the stranger coming back with help. Glory to the light, just in time. I should return soon. Enoch swung around to greet the strangers. He opened his mouth and froze. Brilliant colors sparkled before his eyes, flickering like jewels, but walking too. The light stopped in his path, scanning, searching, probing. He felt a voice saying something. The sound held him captive, yet passed through him simultaneously. His entire being vibrated. He tried to speak. He willed it with all his might, but only a whisper came from some far place deep inside. Who? Then he slipped into nothingness and the bright light. Hazazel led Samjaza to the small clearing by the river Gihon. A strange melody filled the air. The tone Samjaza nudged Hazazel and raised his brows. Your guess is better than mine, Hazazel said. Now voices harmonized with the melody. Samjaza paused, covering one ear with his hand. Are you trying to get me demoted? Samjaza rushed toward the sound. Now, Captain, Hazazel said, edging past his leader. I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation. We don't want to alarm our guest. But Samjaza lurched forward past Hazazel and entered the camp first. My, to what do I owe this pleasure? Samjaza asked. The familiar voices dropped their harmony like a hot coal when they saw Samjaza. A pleasure, Captain. Truly it is. Yemezrek rushed to greet his superior. The other watchers also jumped to attention. Tubal Khan stood as well, seeing the obvious authority of the man. He would have bowed too if Yemezrek had not prevented him with a warning shake of his head. Not only have my chiefs greeted me with a new song, but they also bring a guest. Yes, Captain, Hazazel interjected. May I present to you Tubal Khan, a son of Adam from the tribe of Cain. The Ancient One has honored me with your presence, Tubal Khan said, using the old tongue. Adam, may I delight you with the tales of my people? Hazazel smirked and mouthed the words, I told you, behind Tubal Khan's back. You may, Samjaza replied in Adam's tongue. Please, be at ease and let us commune together. The others waited before joining him. Only the crackle of the dried timber interrupted the silence. Even the creeping things kept their peace. Tubal Khan shifted under the gaze of these tall strangers, who at times seemed to converge with the blaze and become fire themselves. He shook off the oddness, blaming the illusion on the strong ale so generously provided before Captain Samjaza's arrival. After all, some elders were known to see peculiar visions after drinking the concoctions brewed by the daughters of Eve. Obviously, this drink was like those liquids of power used to ward off the sickness. Then he heard someone speak, or rather he felt the voice speak. He concentrated intently on their faces, but did not see mouths moving. He ignored the voice in his head, and he took another drink of brew. Tubal Khan, it is I, Samjaza. Do you hear? Tubal Khan startled. Brew sloshed from his mug into the fire, making it hiss. Confusion dotted his dark eyes for an instant before they filled with amazement. You can speak without talking? Tubal Khan blurted out loud. But of course, Samjaza answered, sending the response to Tubal Khan's mind. It is the way of our people. What people are you from? Tubal Khan asked even louder. This skill is unknown to us, but it is said that Father Adam once possessed a gift such as this. Did your people learn it from Father Adam? Tubal Khan leaned forward as if he could grasp the knowledge from the blaze between them. You might say we share a common bond with Adam, though he is not our father. Well, if not Adam, who did sire such a great people? Tubal Khan asked, now sweating from the heat. We are children of the Ancient One, Tubal Khan. Samjaza's silent response ignited a wave until their auras became one. We are sons of the Most High God. Tubal Khan fell back. He was no longer sitting among men with flesh as ruddy as his own. He was in the presence of men made of fire, their features distinctive and terrifying in beauty. Glad to touch familiar ground, but before he could worship, A hand pulled him to his feet. Do not bow to us, as we are not worthy to receive that which belongs to the Ancient of Days, Samjaza warned. His essence once again appeared as flesh. Hazazel, Yemezrak's flesh. Hazazel, Yemezrak, and the others followed his lead, now appearing as ordinary men of superior stature. Leave us, Samjaza commanded, so I may speak with our guest privately. Captain Samjaza, on behalf of my fathers, I thank you for hearing my request. Then walked away. I'm sure you will agree to help us once you understand the great— Enough! Samjaza lifted his hand. You are in a precarious position, son of Adam. Virtue bestowed upon us by the Ancient One has made you well, when you should have perished. Samjaza spoke loud enough for Hazazel and Yemezrak to hear. Hazazel threw his hands up, feigning innocence, while Yemezrak dropped his head. It is obvious our misguided actions, Samjaza glared at Hazazel, may now play some role in the Ancient One's plans. Indeed, we sons perform some benefit to the sons of Adam. However, the extent of our service has not been revealed. Like you, we watch and wait for the prophecy to be fulfilled. You know of the promise given to first father Adam and mother Eve? Tubal Khan asked. Yes, we are aware of Adam's betrayal and exile from the garden, and also his punishment. Tubal Khan lowered his head at the mention of the curse. Yet, in the fullness of your time, Samjaza continued, the Ancient of Days said the seed of the woman will crush the head of the serpent who tempted her to do that which was evil. There is hope. My tribe believe I am that hope, the chosen offspring who will deliver all the sons of Adam from the curse. I was sent to bring back the Auru as proof of the Ancient One's favor. But instead I found you. You can help, Cain pleaded. Hazazel informed me of this and your desire for our healing powers, but he also mentioned a who competes with you for this honor, is there not? Samjaza asked. I must know all the facts if I am to determine the Ancient One's will in this matter. You speak truth. Tubal Khan pressed his sweaty palms against his thighs. Can he hear my thoughts? He chose his words carefully. The elders of Seth believe Enoch may be the bearer. We left together in search of Auru, but separated once we entered Avenland Forest. It seems your elders may have misinterpreted this prophecy. Samjaza hesitated. Obtaining Auru would certainly require the ancient's blessing, but it does not prove a man is the bearer of the seed. For truth, since Adam was cursed, every male child born of him would be corrupted, even if he did. Are you saying the prophecy is false? Tubal Khan almost yelled. He dropped his head when the watchers nearby turned to stare. Of course not. Of course not, Samjaza said. The Ancient One is truth indeed. I am saying the seed of the woman could not be an offspring of any son of Adam. Tubal Khan's body sagged as if Samjaza's words were blows. That cannot be. He stood so abruptly he toppled his mug of brew into and blew. Calm yourself, brother. All is not lost. You may indeed be the bearer of the seed, but not in the way you believe. Think again. The Ancient One did bring you to us in the woods, and by his will my 2 officers spared your life, perhaps so you could learn this truth and save your people. But how can we be saved without a righteous offspring to defeat the serpent? Tubal Khan, look closely. Are we not men? Samjaza spread his arms toward the woods. At his word, dozens of men appeared, men of light, men of fire. They lit the woods as if it were sun's peak. We, too, possess seed, and ours is incorruptible. Tubal Khan gawked at the shining figures. By Adama's blood, the prophecy is fulfilled for truth. We must return to the tribunal and share this revelation. When they hear, when they see, the elders will surely select me to rule in Adam's place. Indeed. Samjaza smiled with satisfaction. We will leave for the tribunal at sun's birth. But for now, my friend, rest. The men flickered and disappeared. Again, he was alone. The blazing fire, now a pile of smoldering ash, the only reminder of his encounter. Tubal Khan settled between two large stones to wait for first light. A gentle breeze blew through the woods, shuffling the forest air. He breathed deeply until his eyes became. I guess the wolves found another prey. Chapter 5. Heaven's Realm. Oh, I have longed for this day. Finally, the beloved has answered my petition. Anami peered at his find, poking it in the stomach. Wake up, it! Delmar looked over his shoulder, doubtful. What is it? Does the strength of Michael's host not recognize what lies before him? No, I don't. Delmar's tone was dry. But I'm sure you're going to tell me why this is none other than a man of dust, a human. But humans dwell in Adam's realm? What's it doing here? Good thinking, Delmar. Let's ask it. Anami moved a nose breath from the man's face and bellowed, Oh, human, why are you here? Why are you speaking so loud? I'm sure it can hear. Maybe not. Ooh, watch it. Anami stretched his arms out a moment too late. Look, it fell. Quick, Delmar, pick it up. You pick it up. You did it. Was that booming voice really necessary? A simple greeting would have sufficed. Delmar, first impressions are everything. You know that. Anami feigned hurt. I was merely trying to address it properly. I believe that it is a he, if my memory is correct, and he has fainted. Delmar easily lifted the 7-foot frame, only a few heads short. A drink of water should revive him. On second thought, maybe our appearance frightened him. He might be unaccustomed to our essence. Of course, right as usual, Delmar. Let's adjust. Anami transformed into a form like the human. When he was done, his regal features and pearly hue were still apparent, though concealed in flesh. Nice work. Delmar settled for a tawny version of his own golden essence. This time, let me do the talking. Although Delmar was small for an Elohim, he was more than adequate in diplomacy, a special gift in a land where physical skill and size dominated. Welcome, friend. Delmar nudged the limp form on the bench. He doesn't look good. You know, I think a nice song would benefit him. Anami hummed a hopeful melody. Delmar appreciated a good tune as well as the next citizen, but Anami always sang everywhere. Sometimes he just wanted silence. And I'm sure I can't persuade you not to sing. Not in the least. Anami took it up an octave. Aha, my song is working. He slapped Delmar on the back and grinned. You really shouldn't roll your eyes like that. They might get stuck. At first, Enoch thought he was dreaming. Birds were singing in the distance as light pushed the shadows away. Enoch opened his eyes and sat up fully, dazed again by the incredible beauty of this place and the two strangers hovering over him. What happened? You fainted. Delmar offered him a cup of water. But I saw lights approaching. Did you see them? There were two, I think they were talking. So you could hear. I thought so. See, Delmar, there was no reason for concern. Anami shed his human form. Ah! Enoch fell back, shielding his eyes. Be at ease, friend. We are the two you saw approaching, Delmar said. Cover yourself, Anami, so our guest may be comfortable. Anami transformed again into a man of flesh. For a moment, Enoch was dumbfounded. Then he poked Anami hard and jiggled him in the stomach, jumping back 3 spans when Anami burst into peals of laughter. This is no dream. Delmar, he is so funny. Delmar just shook his head. Enoch, I do apologize for our lack of decorum. No, I am most sorry for the intrusion. No harm done. Anami held his side, still chuckling in between breaths. So does clarity damage your eyes? Clarity? We exhibit clarity here in all its nuances. You'll become accustomed to the brilliance, though I must admit I do understand how you feel. When the beloved shows himself in all his clarity, it can be most overwhelming. I almost have to leave his presence, Anami said. The beloved? Who is that? Excuse me, friend, Delmar said, but I believe proper introductions are in order. I am Delmar, Chief Strategic Analyst, Alpha Company, and this is Anami, Chief Archery Specialist. I am son of Adam. I guess you could call me the hope of the tribe of Seth and the Chief Alpha Tracker. Well, sort of. Enoch stopped short as he remembered he could not find his way out. Excuse me, I do not mean to be rude, but what sort of men are you? We are not men, Anami stifled. We are not men, Anami stifled a chuckle. We are sons of the Ancient One. Adam had brothers? Enoch's eyes widened. The elders never mentioned any brothers of Adam, unless the Ancient One created brothers of Adam that did not sin and were not exiled from the garden. Speaking faster and faster. Praise the light! The elders will be elated to learn we still have kinsmen dwelling in the garden. No, friend, you misunderstand. Delmar interrupted. We are not brothers of Adam. We sons of the Most High were created before the beloved formed Adam. Where do you believe yourself to be? The Garden of Eden, Enoch said, ignoring the strange sensation in his gut. Anami burst into laughter. Friend, you are quite mistaken. This is not the Garden of Eden. This is the Garden of God. Glory of heaven's realm. Wait! Anami thrust his arms forward a moment too late. He's done it again. Quick, Delmar, pick him up. Why must you keep on shocking people and carrying on? Everything is not a joke, you know. Well, how was I to know he would? See, Delmar, he's coming around now. Anami smiled broadly as he gave Enoch a hand. Enoch steadied his weakened knees and sat on the bench, noticing for the first time the intricate craftsmanship and pulsating frame. Two eager faces towered over him with a bizarre mixture of curiosity and concern. Friend, tell me, will you be falling down frequently? Because if you will, I would be most happy to take you to a very soft place where you can faint or whatever that flopping thing is as much as you like. Just ignore him, Enoch. Delmar sat on the bench opposite him. We are terribly sorry for the surprise. We didn't realize you would Delmar said tactfully, or come here without knowledge of your destination. I believe what we would like to... How did you get here? Anami asked, cutting Delmar off. Sons of Adam are not permitted. Enoch flinched at Anami's sudden change in disposition. I don't know really, he stammered. I don't know really, he stammered. Anami selected an arrow from his archer's sack. Enoch, familiar with the bow himself, knew his next words were critical. I was looking for alru that grows along the cliffs of the edge of the hidden garden. Alru? Delmar asked. We need it desperately to ward off the sickness stacked neatly by the river. You mean the loquiva of El, which bears healing? Delmar said, recognizing the familiar plant. It restores us, Enoch said. Without alru, we will suffer horribly until the bearer of the seed destroys the serpent. That still doesn't answer the question. Anami's voice was steely. How did you get here? I was gathering alru on the cliffs when a great flying beast raised himself against me, an image of the Ancient One, and attacked me. As I was fighting the ferocious dactyl, great thunder shook the ground, and lightning filled the sky and scared the creature away. Yet I was doomed, for I had stared in the face of the Ancient One's guardian, and he set himself to slay me. Go on. Anami dropped his bow and leaned forward. What happened next? Well, Enoch said, adopting the foreboding tone of a village talebearer. Out of nowhere, a hand grabbed me. No! Anami shouted with all the delight of a child hearing a favorite bedtime story. Yes, and a man called my name, saying, Enoch, Enoch, follow me. And then, Anami asked, he led me to a hidden cave in the cliffs, and I ran as fast as I could to keep up with him. But he was always blackness, and I banged myself up, trying not to fall, as it twisted and turned. Then suddenly the stranger walked through the light at the end of the tunnel, and I followed him. Next thing I knew, I was here. Where is the man who brought you here? Delmar's tone was sharp. I don't know. Delmar's tone was sharp. I don't know. When I heard you two coming, I thought he was returning with help. I must find him. I do not know the way back to the cave which led me here. I searched everywhere and can't find it. I see. Delmar paced around the bench. Delmar, do you think it could... What did this man look like? Delmar asked. Well, Actually, he kind of looked like my cousin Tubal Khan or one of his tribe. How do they appear? Delmar asked. Larger than me, taller, with thick limbs, dark eyes usually, though not always. But this man's eyes were dark, and he wore his hair in long cords, Enoch said. He was moving fast. I did not get a good look. It could be. Anami immediately fell prostrate. Delmar emulated the move almost as quickly. Enoch swung around to see the cause. A great light shined even brighter than the brilliance of Anami and Delmar's pure state combined. It was more than white. Enoch couldn't think of a color to describe it. It was almost the absence of anything, yet somehow the sum of everything in one magnificent burst, illuminating everything in its path. This must be, it had to be, what Anami called clarity. Enoch knew in an instant. This was the beloved. Without knowing how, Enoch too fell prostrate. Rise, friends, the beloved said gently, hesitated before standing. The aura coming from the beloved dimmed slightly. A cool rushing swept through his mind, and a familiar form materialized. The stranger. Had the light changed? Perhaps his eyes had merely adjusted to this. Enoch, you wonder who I am. The beloved sat on a bench near them. Warm blood flushed his face, reminding him of his humanity. He dared to address this being. Yes. You don't remember. I remember you were on the cliffs. You helped me, and I followed you here. Is that all you remember? Enoch frowned. Of course that's all I remember. That's all that. Suddenly, thoughts flashed through his mind. Glimpses of a man's life. No, his life. He saw his birth, his mother and father laughing, a huge family with brothers and endless moments exploring an immense forest. His favorite horse shouted with glee as they jumped the river, racing through the unhindered woods. A single man stood in the front, leading the chase. It was the beloved. Enoch shook his head. No, wait. This is off somehow. This life was familiar. He knew it had been his, but it wasn't now. His mother and father appeared different, and he had no large family. No laughing stallion was his companion. He had never challenged the host to a quest through Avonland Forest to see who could catch the beloved. What is this? Enoch stared into the distance, forgetting all those around him as he remembered that life. Not even the heavy sound of hooves galloping toward him broke his concentration. Whoa! Anami jumped from his seat to avoid the translucent figure on horseback crashing through the foliage. Where did that stallion come from? Delmar, did you see it? It just appeared out of nowhere. Before Delmar could answer, a team of hosts, also on horseback, raced by, leaving only a breeze smelling of sweat, hay, and sandalwood in their wake. Just 1 point, please. Delmar ran toward the riders. I know those men. Anami, they look like... My lord, what is happening? Enoch is remembering. The beloved smiled with satisfaction. He is remembering his life as it should have been. The essence of the Ancient One in him makes his thoughts visible to you. If he speaks them now, surrounded by the clarity of heaven's realm, they will become fixed and surrounded by the clarity of heaven's realm. They will become fixed and materialize. His old life will disappear completely, and he will enter his alternate reality. He must return before he forgets his former life. Delmar and Anami stood spellbound. Apparently, Anami and Enoch Look, Delmar, I'm in the lead now. I'm winning the chase. Enoch, the beloved said forcefully. His firm voice shook the thoughts from Enoch's mind like ripe plums dropping from a tree. Enoch had no choice in the matter. Slowly, the ever-bright images faded into the crisp light of heaven's realm. Enoch sighed as he released the thoughts and stared into the beloved's eyes. "You are the image of the Ancient One," he said confidently. "Enoch, it is time for you to take the Alru back to Adam's realm." "What? What is Alru?" "Where is Adam's realm?" "Enoch, where is Adam's realm?" Enoch peered at the beloved with curiosity and a bit of disappointment. "Why did you stop the chase?" "The elders at the tribunal wait for your return. You must deliver the Alru before your cousin Tubal Khan. The people suffering from the sickness need you." Pinpricks tickled his mind until he had a clear vision of the camp. The elders decreeing the contest, he and Tubal Khan running toward Avenland Forest, the fierce confrontation with the hungry dactyl, and his escape from the cliffs. The forgotten sense of urgency returned with a rush. "Yes, of course, my lord." "Anami and Delmar," Enoch returned safely with the Alru. "Take Azam with you. Adhere to the code." "Yes, my lord." Anami and Delmar bowed low. Before they could rise, the beloved was gone. This concludes Chapter 5 of Taken, a metaphysical fantasy novel. If you enjoyed this excerpt and just can't wait for the next chapter, Taken ebook is available absolutely free for a limited time through Amazon Kindle. Please check the description box for details. Also, please check back for upcoming chapters of Taken on this YouTube channel and download the video notes in the description box. Remember, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love Him. Please share this uplifting read with your friends and get ready to soar. Thank you again for listening, and may the favor of the Ancient One be on you.